Hi everyone. So today I'm going to present my fifth assignment of Technotrade. So let's begin. Uh, so coming to the first question, that is, what is the major difference between Angular and Angular JS? Um, Firstly, Angular JS was in use. Then after Angular took over Angular JS. That is because it has many advantage over your Angular JS. So first of all, let me begin with the programming language, or the language that is used in both framework. That is let me point out the difference in the language. That is Angular JS is typically written in your JavaScript, while your Angular is written in TypeScript. That is TypeScript, that is by Microsoft. TypeScript provides early detection to your errors, and also for many typo errors, everything the errors are caught much, and the debugging process is very easy, and errors are caught at an earlier stage. And that's why TypeScript has many TypeScript is preferable over your JavaScript and also JavaScript. So that is the first difference that I list out between your Angular and Angular JS. And secondly, your Angular uses your components and its directives for the DOM structure. That is not for the DOM structure. That is the purpose. Components and directives is used. That is your components decides how the elements will be replaced, or where the elements will be replaced, and directives decides the behavior or the appearance of the components in the DOM structure. While compared to Angular JS, in its architecture, it uses it uses MVC pattern in its framework. That is model view controller pattern. In that model, what happens? Model captures the data, and model is responsible for management of the data, that is storing the data. And view, once the data is reviewed, view outputs the data, while controller acts as a central unit. It processes the data and executes and give commands to your give commands to model and view. So controller act as a central unit. That is basic difference in the architecture of Angular and Angular JS. Then next is, while Angular supports dependency injection, that is we can use dependency injection to increase performance, while in Angular JS that doesn't support dependency injection. Dependency, we need dependency because in somewhere some classes are being referenced by some classes in the code, so thereby we need dependency. That is the purpose of dependency. The next difference is that in the routing, in Angular we can simply navigate to the URL. By the URL we can navigate to the client view, while in Angular JS we need to use another rootprovider.when @rootprovider.when. That is also a major difference between in the routing mechanism of Angular and Angular JS. And other thing is management, as because the structure is very simple and easy in Angular. So managing as when the code grows, as it has a better structure and easy structure, so management as the code grows, management of a larger application is easy in Angular, while it's as AngularJS has a complex structure, it becomes quite difficult to manage bigger application in AngularJS. And so that was the major difference between Angular and AngularJS. And also coming to the performance, that AngularJS is not because of some of the features like two-way binding. These features of the framework are somewhat enhanced in Angular, so it achieves better performance than AngularJS. So let's move on to the next question. That is, what is the major difference between Angular and React.js? So first of all, what was there? Angular was in the market till 2015. Angular was mostly used language for web development. After 2015, what happens? What happened now? React.js of Facebook, that was first used as a technology, in-house technology of Facebook. Then later on it was launched to market, and then that was after that 2015 React came into market and occupy most of the market. About we can say about 70% of the market there was then occupied by React. So so this question is very important. So let's begin with this question. That begin with the answer. That first of all, the major difference is that the major difference I can say is okay. So let me first give the practical implementation scenario. That React is used basically for UI components, and where Angular is used for web development. So that's as it is used for designed for UI components. So the community that supports React, and it has an already wide range of UI components. It supports a wide range of UI components that is not there in Angular. Angular is basically used for web development, and mostly the second difference is most for it support Angular supports two-way binding. That's why it is bit slower than it's much slower than React, as React supports one-way binding. If we change the data, then the state is not changed in React, but whereas as Angular supports two-way binding, if we change the data, the state is changed with change in the user data. And some of the libraries are predefined in Angular. So we need not to then import those libraries, whereas in React we need to import many of the libraries to enhance its features. Like for example, for better state management, we need to import many libraries like your routing, helmet, etc. Okay, so that was the major difference. And about the language, as Angular is TypeScript, and we can also and React is written in JavaScript XML. We can also use means it also supports TypeScript, and we can also write JavaScript. We can in that we can also degrade to we can also switch to JavaScript. So that is the major difference. And other thing is in the architecture that React Angular, what happens, the Angular gives strong opinion about the structure of the application, that how the application will be structured, while in React it is up to the developer, that it is free for the developer, that he can the developer can decide how the application should look like. That is up to the developer. So that that freedom is given to the developer. Whereas in Angular it's quite restricted, that developer need to use that template, that those are already defined. So that is the major difference between Angular and React.js. And the last difference is that in the DOM structure, that is in Angular, what happens now, why Angular is slower as comparison to React.js is when a new DOM, when an element changes, the new DOM is, or change in some DOM occurs. DOM is basically whatever the user sees in the web page, that is considered as a DOM. So whenever a change occurs in the DOM, another DOM is created, and a new DOM is created in Angular, and whatever the changes between the new DOM is compared to the previous one, and the change is applied to the new one after the memory allocation. That's why it is quite slower. Well, in React.js, what happens now? A virtual DOM is created. Whenever there is any change, a virtual DOM is created, and the difference and the difference is only applied to the real DOM. So in that way it is much faster. So basically what I can point out in punchlines that and React is used for UI components, React.js, and basically designed for UI components, and Angular is used for web development. So let's move on to the third question, that is list out at least 5 mobile app frameworks. Okay, so many of the mobile app frameworks are in use nowadays in market. All of you might have heard of React Native, that is being designed by Facebook. Why it is because it supports different Android and iOS applications, and it is much it is a cross platform app framework, cross platform, or we can say multi-platform app development framework. It is very interactive, one thing, and it is very supports very faster development and deployment, and it is used in many commercially doing good apps like Airbnb, Instagram, Facebook, etc. They use React Native. So let's move on to the next mobile app framework, that is Laravel. Laravel is if one user is if one developer has knowledge in PHP, then I can very easily move on to Laravel. It's a free tool, and that's also a multi-platform tool that is a single source multi-platform tool, and very less coding is required in Laravel, and it's a PHP framework, and and the advantages it support, it's a OOPS concept and modularity, and that is the major advantage of Laravel. And also debugging, it's catches error very easily and in a very easily and very fast. So that's the Laravel. And so what sort of applications for WordPress that has content, the websites which has contents like WordPress, Wikipedia, they uses Laravel. So next, let's move on to the next one, that is Uno. Uno is also a mobile app framework that is it supports means it also supports your different operating system like Windows, Mac, Android, and advantage is that it is very easy to learn, and it also has also supports many editors like Visual Studio, etc., and it's very easy to learn. That is the advantage. And so let's move on to the next one, that is jQuery. jQuery is very interactive and very user friendly. That we can interpret from the name that it's also a single source multi-platform app development framework, and it also supports different operating system, different like Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, etc., and that is the major advantage of jQuery. And it's very lightweight. It has many plugins like image slider, pop-up boxes, and slider for text slider, etc. So let's the last one, mobile Angular UI, that is very famous. Mobile Angular UI is used for developing mobile app. The advantage is that in mobile Angular UI we can very easily convert the desktop application to app, to the mobile app. That is the major advantage of Angular mobile UI. So I have covered the third question, that was about your mobile app frameworks. So let's move on to the next question, that is how we decide which backend technology to use. So first of all, what is backend technology? Backend technology, backend technologies is simply, we can say, it's API. It's used for running APIs between the front end and the back end. For choosing the backend, we have many criteria. Like we can go for and check on the reliability, scalability, performance, etc. Let me give a brief explanation of which criteria we should look out. First of all, it's convention and configuration. Okay, so what is convention is the standard, or we can say the generalized practices within a community of developers. Here I am giving the definition in context of technical development, that the standardized or generalized practices used by a community of developer is called as convention. When it is being used over years and it's a trending technology, then the best practices of the industries are being followed or practiced by the practiced by the community. So there so if we use those type of framework for backend, then it will be much easier that we need not to already many functionalities will be developed, and we need not to means the developer need not to define new functionalities. He can use the already existing functionalities. That is the example of conventions are convention frameworks for backend are Django, Perl, Ruby, etc. And Spring Java, Spring of Java, etc. If we then also if we are a startup, then we should go for a convention, as because we have we don't have a large team, and also time is quite important for that. Also in that situation also we should go for convention framework. And second one is configuration. So if in configuration, what happens, all the functionalities are not as it is not being used by many community, so a basic libraries are only available, and it is free, and we can deploy it and customize it according to our need. So developers need to write for the functionalities and configure it according to their need. So there this is called configuration. And for example, convention example of configuration framework of configuration framework for backend is PHP, etc. So this is the first point. Then we can look out for we can see when we are looking out for backend technology, which backend technology to use. Then the second one is performance and speed. Whenever the request is made to the application uses its RAM, the system's RAM, CPU, hard disks, etc. So for that we need to see the performance also. And if the application requires concurrency of requests or concurrency of data, extensive concurrency of data for that, for like gaming applications, or whenever we can say any thousands of data inputs are being made to the application by the sensor in such type of by different type of sensors. So in these type of applications where it involves extensive data operations, so there we can't go for the traditional Django and Django, Ruby, etc. There we need to go for fast HTTP with Go. So these are the scenarios that I am giving example, that how can we decide which backend technology to use. And then the third point is community. If that backend technology is supported by a huge number of developers or by a huge number of many number of people in a community, by many communities, then whatever the then it's much easy to work, as he will find help in every error he gets, or for any kind of help he will get it by the community. And also when whatever the developer is going to face in future, is maybe it's already being caught and given explanation and given with an already that is already being given in the community. That answer is already given by the community. So the fourth point, that is we need to consider while going to look out for a backend technology is programming language. So which programming language the application is going to use, that is for example when it includes system programming or hardware, then C, we can go for C or system level language, machine level language. Then there we should go for the different kind of programming languages, and if the application is a high level one, then we should go for high level language. Accordingly we should choose the backend framework, okay, that should support the front-end programming language. So and let me give okay, so that was about the fourth question, that is how we decide which backend technology to use. Hope I have given a good brief explanation of that. So let's move on to the last question, that is how do we decide which kind of database we use. So a database is mainly of two types, relational and non-relational. Relational when it consists of data in tabular forms, and those tables and those large number of those tables are connected to each other via different relationships, and that is conceptually, and those tables are connected to each other via foreign key. Okay, and each table is identified by a unique primary key. So that is relational database. And non-relational, when the data is not in tabular form, that is non-relational database. For relational database, we use SQL queries. For non-relational database, we use NoSQL language. We use different type of query languages other than SQL too. That's why it is also called NoSQL database. So example of relational database is MySQL Server, PostgreSQL, etc. And example of non-relational database is MongoDB, etc. For deciding which database to use, first we should look out for the type of data. If the data fits into row and column, then we can go for relational database. Otherwise, if the data, if we are not sure about the data, we don't know about the future requirements, and it may change in future. So in real time scenarios, like when we are not sure about the data, in real time data can be of any type, like key value pair, a pool of strings, etc. Thereby we can go for non-relational database. And when the database is of fixed size, we can go for relational database. When it's not of fixed size and we are not sure about the size, we can go for non-relational database. And whenever the operations are on read, write or delete, any operation are on past data set, we can go for relational database, and that is a fixed size. Whenever we need to expand or we need to shrink the size, we can go for non-relational database. And these are the major points we need to look out while choosing for the database. That was all for day 5 assignment. Thank you. Thanks a lot.